You are listening to the Marketing 32 Show with your host, Brett Allen.
Hi, Brett Allen here, host of the Marketing 32 Show, where I connect with leading dentists, dental influencers, and industry experts to bring you the latest and greatest, the insights and innovations to help your dental practice grow and thrive. As always, our episode today is brought to you by our team here at Marketing 32. We're the only dental marketing team that I know of that is truly invested in your growth. And I mean that because if you're not growing, we're not growing. We don't get paid, so we have that performance guarantee. If you need help with your marketing and want to find out what it is that we do and if we can help and if we'd be a great fit together, head over to marketing32.com. Let's have a conversation. A quick shout out to Tia Hunter. Just had her on the show. She talked to us all about the front desk and more specifically OSHA, and her karma calendar that she's coming out with is actually coming out next week, November 1st. Well, depending on when this gets published, but check it out. Check out her episode. A lot of great value there and a lot of things that I didn't realize were impacting the practice when it comes to OSHA and the calendar of things that you have to manage inside the practice. So super excited to have a new friend, Katherine Eitel Belt, on the show today. She is an international speaker, author, and coach with 35 years experience. Obviously, you guys know her. Her reputation precedes her. She is best known for helping leaders achieve extraordinary results by communicating with greater clarity and inspiration so they can hold people accountable without damaging the relationship. Katherine, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
I'm so excited to be here. We're doing a reboot. So
Yes.
signal, good, everything. And so I'm really excited to talk about our topic today and be with you.
Yeah, this will be fun.
Yeah.
We tried to record this a little bit ago and we had Wi-Fi issues. We had to pull the plug. But this Wi-Fi is good today. So we're
Good today. Yeah.
Well, so for those who don't know you, which is probably few, can you give us some of your background of like how you got into dentistry and then more specifically where you're at today with communication and leadership training and things like that?
Absolutely. It's been a fantastic journey. I'm so blessed to have the career I've had. It started as a 19-year-old just wanting a job, put gas in her little Chevette, and I answered an ad in a newspaper for a dental assistant in Texas. And I wasn't very good at it and really didn't like it very much. And my boss eventually had a really heart-to-heart, I'll say, conversation with me that later became the bedrock foundation of the things we teach today. It was my first experience with what we call a courageous conversation, where someone said, look, I need something different. I want something different. Um, I deserve something different. And I'm looking for a different kind of professional across the chair from me. And so I have no doubt you can do it. What I don't know is if you're ready to do it, if you're ready to step into this higher, different role. And so that conversation, he essentially fired me that day, that evening, and then invited me to come back and interview the next morning for a completely different position. And it was a pivotal moment for me in my career. We worked together for many years, and then eventually my career, I went up front, sort of on accident. Our front desk person was in a car accident, and so everybody was pitching in, and I ended up staying up there. And so I learned the administrative part of a practice and learned how to manage a practice. And then my career eventually brought me to California. My life brought me to California, and my career went into coaching. And I coached for a company for a while and ultimately went off on my own, created my own program. And so for several decades, I was a full practice management consultant, bringing systems, bringing, all of the operational pieces that consultants bring. But there was always a favorite part. And for me, the favorite part was whenever we got to the modules on communication, on the team communicated together or how they communicated with patients. And so about 15 years ago, I narrowed my focus and did not renew my consulting contracts and kind of jumped off a cliff. I wasn't sure if people would pay for just communications coaching only, but it turns out they will. LionSpeak was born then, and ever since then, I have focused on communications coaching. And in the last couple of years, we've narrowed that even further to leadership communication coaching, whether that's conversations from the top ranks down, whether it's lateral communication with coworkers, or whether it is an employee that needs to have a courageous conversation with a manager. So whatever direction that's going, we help with those, the quality of those communications. So that's a
Yeah, that's well, I think that's how I got to know you was when you were in LionSpeak, and that was primarily what you were doing is
yeah.
giving speakers coaching and helping them. You've given me some great advice as well and feedback. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a great journey. And I've, of course, fallen in love with this industry. And we do some work outside of dentistry, but still the primary work, the bulk of our work is in dentistry.
well, let's talk about leadership communication. So when you're having those challenging conversations with team members, or you're trying to promote a new initiative or process or get buy-in, all of these different things as leaders, there's there's little tweaks you can make in how you present it and all of that. So I don't want to go, be the expert for you, but tell us about how you work with practices like that in that way. What's your process like? What are some tools that maybe you can share with our listeners?
Sure. There's a couple of tools. One of the frameworks that we teach. And even though we're a communications coaching company, we don't really believe in strict scripting. And it almost seems at odds with what we do. But what I have found in reality is people don't follow scripts really. When coach is gone or the manager's not listening, they actually go back to what feels authentic and comfortable. But we also believe that consistency of communication and of messaging, this is
Hmm.
your clients are marketing clients, so consistency in messaging and branding is hugely important in business. And so I'm the kind of girl that says, why do I have to choose between consistency of message and having everyone on my team give the same guidelines, the same advice, the same communicate in the same way that's in alignment with my brand and not have them sound like robots? Why do I choose between authenticity and consistency?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it turns out you don't. It turns out that the way you get both is not through scripting, but rather through frameworks. And so we teach easy to remember frameworks, and we say within the framework, as long as you're accomplishing the framework, you get to be who you are. If you're funny, we
Yeah.
be funny. If you're genuine and sweet and kind, and that's how you were, born, then we want you to show up big in that personality. We teasingly say if you're direct, you get to be careful.
You
but
get to be yeah.
but we want people to be, and I think patients and coworkers and people in general respond to an authentic communication much better than an overly scripted one. So the first framework I would suggest is a framework that we call the Leadership Conversation Trifecta. So it's 3 conversations and it's a hierarchy. So if you get the first one done and done well, then the next one is easier. If you get the next one done well, then the last one is you're likely not have very many of the third one, and if when you do, they will go better. So the trifecta is this. The first conversation is an ownership conversation. The only exception to this is if this is a huge organization and the owners are not really they're not the
They're
face.
more removed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so then there can be an administrator that's likely the proxy, or a CEO that may be the proxy of the owners. So that can work too. But from the top, we call this conversation the invitation conversation. And we recommend clients have this a minimum of once a year at a team gathering where They reset every year. They reset the course. They reset the vision for what we're building in the next 3 to 5 years, very specifically. They reset the values that we will operate within on that journey to that vision. And they reset and reestablish the standards, the cultural standards that are the expectations when you work, but they issue it in what we call an invitation. And we want that invitation to be two things. Well, we want all these conversations to basically land with two compelling pieces. One is clarity, right? We're hoping that people don't listen to this invitation conversation and be more confused than clear. So we're after clarity, simplicity, and then we're after inspiration. So in other words, people could be clear, okay, this is what's expected, these are the values that are important, and this is what we're building, which also, of course, means this is what we're not building. You take a stand for something.
Be clear on that. Yeah.
So people could be clear, but not really do it in a way that it sounds sort of demanding.
Yeah.
And what we help people do is up level their clarity with a heavy dose of inspiration so that people want
Yeah.
to step in the direction.
The motivational component of it. Like, hey, get excited. This is where we're going.
And we coach, very similar to the coaching you and I did, we coach owners on how to get up in front of their team and not confuse them and not demotivate them, to show
Yeah.
up with an authentic level of passion and excitement and clarity, and people will follow leaders that show up and speak to them in that way. So setting
Yeah.
the invitation, there's a couple things around this that are important to know. One is, we're not demanding people do anything. That's the whole purpose of the invitation, is we are no longer demanding, we are inviting. We are saying, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to show up at 7:45. You don't have to dress a certain way. You don't have to learn and be coached to speak a certain way or to do certain things or promote certain kinds of treatment. You don't have to do any of that. If you accept our invitation to work here, then you're accepting the invitation that includes these standards, these
This
goals,
framework.
this
Yeah.
framework. And
Yeah.
so it's up to you, and we'll respect whatever your decision is. If you come to work and you walk over the threshold, that is essentially you raising your hand saying, I sign up for this. I sign up for the work. I sign up for the vision. I sign up for the push. I sign up for the growth and the coaching. I sign up for the standards. I sign up for it all. I choose that. So you can see where now when we go forward with the next level in our hierarchy, which is a coaching conversation, now when a manager sits down to have this coaching conversation, now we are doing it on the basis that this person chose this. We're
Mm.
not forcing them to do anything. And that's a very big distinction in great leadership,
Yeah.
is that we're not ever insisting or forcing. We are inviting,
Yeah.
coaching. Those are the very different paradigm. And that's what we teach people how to do. It's not a supervisory conversation. These are not annual reviews, although in our system, annual reviews are just another level of coaching. But this is a regular, frequent 15-minute check-in where we are coaching people to their highest self and to the results that we need. So let's say you implement a marketing plan inside a client's office, and we present that marketing plan to the team. This is what we're going to be doing. These are the goals that we're setting. These are the strategies we're going to be and tactics we're going to be implementing. We want to make sure that they know their role in that and that they've been given whatever coaching they need to be able to meet those goals and to be able to have success within that program. And so the coaching matters, not so much the supervision. That's kind of a dead old baby boomer idea that died with the industrial age. The supervision is scanning the environment for what's wrong and going in and correcting it. But coaching is scanning the same environment for untapped potential in our people and going in there and coaching it
Yeah. I like that.
different. Yeah. And then the third in that hierarchy is a courageous conversation. If they've accepted the invitation and if they have been well coached and they're still either not doing it, the thing you need them to do, or in many cases, they are doing it and giving it their best, but we are not still getting the results we need. And so both of those scenarios require a little deeper conversation into what we're going to decide to do from here and how
Yeah.
results. It's more of a confrontation conversation, but LionSpeak takes I'll say the tact that even when we have a confrontational conversation, we want to do it in a way that uplifts people at the same time. So
Hmm.
it's without judgment, but it is holding a tight boundary. It's holding a high standard. It's not asking for permission to do that or justifying it in any way. It is saying this is what this needs to be, and this is
Hmm.
by when it needs to happen. Um,
Yeah.
we honor your choice. We honor your choice. And so,
Yeah.
it is a hold the boundary conversation, but done in a way that uplifts the other person and respects them. So,
I like that. Yeah, I've had, as a leader myself in our organization, I've had some of those courageous conversations. It's demanded of leadership, and sometimes we just don't want to have those, or maybe don't feel comfortable having those conversations. But it's demanded by the role, and it's what's best for the team. Um, and I'm not necessarily saying that this necessarily means that you have to terminate somebody, but
no.
it's not easy talking to somebody about, "Hey, we need to make a change here." And even if it's, a touchy topic where it could be taken personally, like, all of these different things come up, right? And so even if you're trying to correct something or improve something, it's yeah, navigating those waters is not easy, right?
Well,
And
it
so
isn't, but I'll offer, if I can, that part of the struggle is the frame we're looking through. It's the lens we're looking through. So, of course, it makes total sense. Very few of us, I speak to sometimes big audiences, and I'll often ask the question, how many of you had great examples at home, parents or grandparents? They really modeled for you consistently a healthy way of approaching conflict or confrontation. And only a few in a room of 1,000, maybe two, will raise their hand. Most people don't. And so most of us didn't have that example. If we didn't learn it at home and we didn't take a class in it or we don't have a degree in it,
yeah.
here we are. We throw all of these people together with all of their emotional stuff,
Mhm.
all of how they approach conflict. We throw us together, pat on the back, good luck, and, you
You
know
figure it out. Yeah.
yeah, and often see it in managers today, with all the consolidation that we've seen in our industry, as
Mm.
organizations expand and grow, they need a level once they get to about 5 locations, they need a level of leadership, a
Yeah.
whole level,
The group practice, the DSO,
right?
this is a whole different
Whole different
thing. Yeah.
and so what they do is they often don't go outside and find someone, they will tap a great hygienist or a great assistant or a great associate doctor on the shoulder and say, "You're really good at what you do. Will you be the lead for this team or for this re"
Yeah.
And so they put them into these I think we're losing
Yeah.
amazing talent because the skills they need to be a great associate are not the same as they will need to grow a department or to grow
Yeah.
and so we almost set them up for failure. And what I would love to suggest is that if you give your people training on how to have these conversations, actually they get easier and better, the results are better, and then you no longer fear them. I would tell you, Brett, that I spent a lot of my early years in leadership avoiding these conversations. I
Mm.
took a lot of years in as a young spouse and mother avoiding these conversations. And
Yeah.
once I
If
learned, because this is a life skill. I mean, if
yeah.
you don't get better at work and not get better at home, right? And
Yeah.
so, if you if once I got some coaching and a framework, I began to have better and better results in all areas of my life,
Mhm.
putting at work, and it became I began to look forward to the conversations for a number of reasons, where I never did in the past. One was I knew I was gonna get yet again another chance to practice getting better and better and better at this thing.
Mm.
ultimately, I was going to be able to show the other person who likely had never, because they're dreading it too. When you say, "Brett, hey, I wanna
I
talk
need
to
to
you,"
have a conversation. Yeah.
you know, then Brett starts sweating like, "What's this about? Oh,
Yeah.
gonna get written up," you know? And
Yeah.
so I knew that by having it go successfully, I would show Brett that he didn't have to fear it in the future either. And then thirdly, I feel like the more we do this in the world today, the better the world gets. So, because I think kids are watching and other people or neighbors are watching and, friends.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of reasons why getting a simple structure, strengthening a weak muscle around confrontation conversations, and learning a way to do it where the results are always good, even if we part ways.
Yeah. I
Still,
like that.
yeah.
I like framing it like that.
I think you can change how you feel about conflict. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. In fact, I saw something somewhere, I forget, it was on social media where it was a political thing too, like touching the hot topics, religion, politics. It's like we don't have training around having challenging conversations. And like, how can we respect one another? How can we talk about things that are heated potentially? And do it in a way where the outcome, like you said, is beneficial for everybody. Where it's like, oh, now there's alignment, now there's understanding, there's clarity, there's a change that's happening for the team for the better. Like all of those things, I love it. I think you hit it on the head. We sometimes avoid the things that are uncertain to us, and we don't know what the steps are. We don't have clarity and confidence in. Okay, well, this is what we need to do,
I
and
mean,
that's
there's
why I think a coach like yourself is great. Coaches are great.
so much fun to coach people and watch the light bulbs go off and watch them have these conversations that they've been avoiding or struggling with for decades sometimes. And to watch them self-manage their emotions and teach other people how to do that. It's been so fabulous. I'm so passionate about the need for it and the difference that it can make. When we talked about marketing plans, you know, patients have you it's like, I'm sure you say this in one way or another. They're always marketing. They're either doing it intentionally or
Yes,
accidentally.
everything is marketing.
Yes, and the same is true with culture. You have a culture. The question is, did you build the culture you want?
By design.
Have you
Yeah.
designed it? Or do you have this accidental culture that just, hinges upon the emotional maturity of the people you happen to have on the moment? And so, there's some staggering statistics, Brett, um, that 65% of performance issues almost always relate back to unresolved conflict on the team.
Mm,
About 50% of the resignations are often in post-exit interviews are often because of unresolved conflict on the team. And a lot of the things that we're dealing with that are headaches for managers and even for team members, a revolving door of turnover and people who are apathetic about work and only doing the bare minimum. All of that relates back to leadership, communication, and the culture that's being built. And I'm telling you, we have seen teams turn it around where they became the place to work in their
mm,
and they became the place nobody wanted to leave once they
I
got it.
love that.
And we have helped employees and managers become the employee that people fight to get and fight to keep,
Yeah.
right? And so it works both ways. And I just think that it seems like it might be a soft skill to bring in communication coaching for your team, but it actually has a hard hit to the bottom line. We
Oh,
the
100%. I
yeah,
can imagine. Yeah.
show that 95% of people who get the training say things got significantly better.
That's awesome.
Patients pick up on it. They absolutely,
Yeah. I
yeah.
was going to make that connection. I think I mean, we all know these practices that are just awesome. And it's like you hear about them and the patients talk about them. And it's like the patient experience, the team, everything's dialed in well. Um, that's a reflection of leadership. And I think, we were talking about this before I hit record. During our discovery process of talking with potential clients, we try to verify, is this a practice that's adding more fuel to the fire and has the foundation? Or is this a practice that's turning to marketing to fix an internal problem? the revolving door of, the leaky bucket analogy. You can't put more water in it until you plug the holes. I think all of this speaks to that is once you've got it dialed in, once you've fixed these internal issues and there's good communication, good vision, that just translates into the patient experience and the growth of the practice.
Yeah,
And it aids whatever marketing you're doing.
it
Marketing works so much
absolutely
better.
all systems,
Yeah.
all systems.
Yeah.
I find when I interview, especially recently promoted managers, um, I'll ask them, what do you think the number one um, piece of your job is? Like, what is the number one task for you? And they often will say, well, I need to be able to help my people, if they have a problem or if they don't, if they're not, don't know what to do. I need to make sure that we have adequate coverage so that, we have vacation coverage and coverage when people are sick. And it's my job to make sure that the department has everything it needs. And I spend a lot of time educating them that that's actually not their number one. That's not their number one focus. The number one focus of a great leader on a team is to build superstars, is to
Mm,
build other superstars because they will work out the vacations. They will implement the systems that you put in place and they will find the problem areas and the challenges and they will help solve it if you build
mm,
superstars that are critical thinkers, problem solvers, mature communicators. They're positive, they're optimistic, they're in the game. And you can absolutely build those people. When I tell my story about it's one of my signature stories when I speak about the conversation my boss had with me at 19.
mm,
One of the things I say is that down the road, as we became this amazing force together, other colleagues of his would say, "How do we find a Catherine? How do we?"
mm.
And I remember him saying once, "You don't find them,
You
you
make
build
Yeah.
people." And
Oh, I
that's
love that.
yeah, and that's what we have to do. And actually, Brett, the good news is it's easier than you think. It's quicker and easier than you think. You just have to find the right coach and the right system that really fits for you, and invest in it.
Yeah. Well, and I love that too because the ownership is yours then. It's not, oh, it's them or it's somebody else. If I just had this or if I just had this person, then then you can't control it then. It's out
No,
of your control. It's almost like victim mentality, right? But when you have when you have the tools and a coach like yourself to help you make those connections and connect the dots, level up, then you can then really it is in your control. So
leadership's an inside out game. Inside,
inside out.
yep, yep.
Great. I love that. Well, we're about out of time. This has been an awesome conversation. I always close with one gold nugget. If you could help our listeners have this one epiphany of or shift that could ripple effect into other areas of their life, practice, whatever. What's that one golden tip of advice that you've got?
Um, I would say when you think about the next conversation, important conversation you're going to have, whether that's at a team meeting or one on one with someone, I would check your judgment about the person, about what's possible, about the circumstance, and poke some holes in that limiting belief that you may have. They're never
Mm,
gonna do it. They're never going to get it. Oh, she's going to burst into tears. What we all have beliefs around these limiting beliefs. And I find that when we get in the habit of saying, is that the only way this could go? Is that the only thing
mm,
I believe about this person? What if I just respected that they're at choice? My job isn't to pick for them. My job is to do those two things: create clarity around what the boundary is or what the ask is, what the standard is. Create clarity about that. Don't apologize for it. Don't need to justify it. Just need to make it clear. And then how do I do it in a way that says, I believe in you. I believe that you can do it. I believe that if you want to, you will do it. And I believe you'll make the best decision for you. My job is just to make sure that when you make that decision, you're making it on really clear information and on the belief that I want you and I hope you'll say yes to this. But if you don't, we're still good. We're still friends and we're going to go forward. And
yeah.
so my advice is kind of really play with clarity and inspiration and suspend your judgment.
Mm.
Just to own it. Hmm.
I love that. I'm thinking back to some advice I received once is like any kind of challenging situation, conversation, there's energy we're bringing into that conversation. And if you don't check that and just make sure that you're not heated by something or have the wrong perspective about something, um, then yeah, it can go sideways on you and it's
And
not
we
the
we
outcome you want.
we use the analogy of flow in mud, like a river in muddy banks. And so in the flow is all the positive, I feel optimistic about it. I feel generous. I feel forgiving. I feel loving.
Mm.
I feel, respect,
Yeah.
all that. The mud is I feel fear. I feel anger. I feel frustration. And so
Yeah.
we always say, the framework's easy. It's 4 steps. But if you use the 4 steps from the mud, it isn't gonna go well. You first
Yeah.
get to the flow and then
Those
use.
conversations never go well when you're triggered or in the moment and not
Yeah, yeah.
checking your energy, right?
Yep, for
Well,
sure.
this has been so great, Catherine. I know you've got a wealth of knowledge around this and can help people even more than just this short podcast. If they want to reach out to you or connect with you or get your help in any way, where do we send them?
Yeah, so, our website is lionspeak.net, and we would love your email info@lionspeak.net. Our phone number is 800-595-7060. We have a virtual leadership academy that we bring in either privately within organizations, or we have a public offering. Our first one, that's a public offering, starts in November, just in a few days, November 4th. And it's 12 lessons over 12 months. We have cohorts. Our cohort is maxed at 20 professionals. And we take them through how to have these conversations, how to run a great team meeting, how to onboard people properly, all the things that a leader is going to need to set up and know how to do. It's a tremendous curriculum, and we'd love to have anybody who's interested, contact us, and we'll get you into either this cohort or the next one. And also have a book coming out.
That's right. We didn't even get to talk about that. You got an upcoming book.
Yeah, so it will be all about this, and I'm very excited. I don't have a pub date yet, but we're thinking it will be March or April. So
Okay.
if anybody's, and I would love to share, we have a free, what we call a courageous conversation support sheet, and it actually has the framework on it, and you can just print it out and use it at work, at home. And we love sharing that. So if anyone's interested, I'll send you so you can put in the show notes a little link where they could go to get those free resources. But if anybody's listening to this on audio, then you can just send us an email at info@lionspeak.net and just put Courageous Conversations resources, and we'll be glad to send those to you free of charge.
Okay, great. Yeah, we'll get that in the show notes so you can click and get it from Catherine's website. And yeah, thank you so much again. This was a great conversation, helped me remember some things and even had some insights into how I can be better too. So thank you, Catherine.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It was a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you again. And everybody, until next time on the Marketing 32 show, have a great rest of your day.